Okay, PreCalc. In 9.5 day 1, it does introduce you to the binomial theorem. The whole first page of the notes kind of leads up to the binomial theorem, and then I copied down the binomial theorem up here. However, in the exercises for day 1, all we are actually doing is computing the binomial coefficients. So we're computing the numbers like here and here and here, the numbers that go in front of our xy's at any particular spot in the expansion. So for exercise 5, it wants us to compute 5 choose 3. And that's how you would pronounce that. You say 5 choose 3. You can remember like the c as the coefficient in a binomial coefficient. I'm also going to write this with the other notation. Instead of 5 choose 3, we can write it like this, 5 choose 3. And we'll use that notation interchangeably. So you can refer to the formula above. When we do 5 choose 3, we do the 5 factorial on top. And in the bottom, we do 5 minus 3 factorial times 3 factorial. So we can expand these factorials to do some canceling, and we'll get 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1 up top. And down here, this 5 minus 3 factorial, that's just like 2 factorial. So that's 2 times 1. And then the 3 factorial is 3 times 2 times 1. So for canceling, you can see right away we cancel the 3's and the 2's and the 1's. And so we'll simplify and get 5 times 4, which is 20, over 2, simplify, and 10. So your binomial coefficient, 5 choose 3, is 10. It's the same thing if you look on to exercise 11. It wants you to compute 10 choose 4 in this case. So we're doing 10 choose 4. And just to re-emphasize the notation, you could also write this as like 10 choose 4. Either works, and this right here is the notation they actually use in the binomial theorem. So, referring again to our formula on the top of our notes page, 10 choose 4 is just like 10 factorial over 10 minus 4 factorial times 4 factorial. So we can expand each of these, and in the top we'll get 10 times 9 times 8 times 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. In the bottom we have 10 minus 4 factorial, which is like 6 factorial. So we'll have 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1, and then 4 factorial, which is 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. Okay, so now you want to get to the work of canceling. You never really want to just throw these into your calculator as is. You can always simplify them. So here I notice I got the 6 through 1's. I'll just cancel all those. And then I want to see if there's any more canceling I can do. And what I notice is that I have 4 times 2 in the basement, and I have 8 in the top. Well, 4 times 2 is 8. So I can cancel both of those with that 8. The only other canceling I see that I can do is I have a 3 down here and a 9 up top. Well, 9 divided by 3, I could cancel this 3 and turn this into a 3 up top. So when we simplify, we'll actually end up with 10 times 3 times 7, because I got rid of all this over here. All over 1. So for this binomial coefficient, if you multiply those out, you will get 210. Okay, so the binomial coefficient, 10 choose 4, or 10 choose 4, either notation is fine, is 210. Okay, so there's another way to figure out what binomial coefficients are, and that's to use Pascal's triangle. So on like the next page after computing these, it shows you Pascal's triangle. And in exercise, you should read through example 3 to kind of see how they used Pascal's triangle to find binomial coefficients. And I'm going to run through exercise 15. In exercise 15, it wants you to figure out this binomial coefficient, 6 choose 5, where that's just like 6 choose 5. So I'm going to pull up our book here where we have Pascal's triangle. Let's see, gotta go back a couple pages. Okay, here we are. So if we want to find the 6 choose 5 spot, like we have right here, what we need to do is first find the 6th row in Pascal's triangle. So if we start up at the top, that first row up there is actually like the 0th row. So we start here, this is the 0th row, first row, second row, third row, fourth row, fifth row, sixth row. So right here is our 6th row. So remember, our problem is asking us to find 6 choose 5. So we're in the 6th row. Now we need to go to the 5th spot. And just like we started at the 0th row, we are going to start at the 0th spot in the row. So here's the 0th spot. Here's the first spot, second spot, third spot, fourth spot, 5th spot. So the 6th right here is our 5th spot in the row. So I mean, just take note of what we did. We went down from our 0th row to our 6th row, and we went from our 0th spot to our 6th spot. So this number here, which is 6, is our answer. So when you're computing using Pascal's triangle, when you're finding the binomial coefficients, it's just a matter of finding the right row. So your first number corresponds to your row, and your second spot corresponds to your position in that row. So there, it was the 6th row and the 5th spot in the row, and that is our binomial coefficient. If you want to check that this really works, you could compute 6 choose 5 using the formula, and that would be 6 factorial over 6 minus 5 factorial times 5 factorial. And if you multiply that out, you get 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1 all over. This right here is just 1 factorial, which is just 1. So we don't even really need to write that. But 5 factorial is 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. Well, you can see right away what cancels, all the 5 through 1, and all we're left with is 6. And like we knew, that matches up with Pascal's triangle. So that's really all you're doing for day 1 in 9.5. I will see you in class.